CMB writer, and this is just going to be a super casual kind of video on something that I've been thinking about. I just got back from my winter break, back in my college dorm, clearly, but during break, there was a snowstorm that took away the power of my house for 4 days, during which I learned some things. So there's some stuff that I've been wanting to reflect on, that I have been reflecting on, and I kind of just wanted to share some of that with y'all. I kind of split this up into like 3 main things that I learned. So let's just go over that. I have my notes here in front of me on my computer because I did kind of want to have a general guideline for how I do it. Yeah, so I don't know the biggest one, but like number 1 would be the beauty of community. The biggest thing there was our roads. Snowplows couldn't get to them for quite a while. And there's a farm across the street, and the farmer brought out a snowplow and such, and he was helping do the roads and doing driveways, and he wasn't the only one. There were some other neighbors too doing that as well, and it really struck an example to me, kind of, in terms of sort of reaching out to other people, like making sure that the old lady who lives on her own, making sure she's alright, because like no one had any power, and does such and such have enough water or enough food? Does everyone have a heat source of some kind? I don't know, that really struck me, because it was different from the neighborhood I used to live in, where that wasn't really a thing. So it's sort of was an impact on me in terms of how I want to be as a neighbor, like when I'm living on my own as an adult, being able to reach out to others and just being friendly, neighborly as the term is, and not just in times of crisis or snowstorms or weather and stuff like that, like just in general, like if someone new comes in, going to introduce myself, or I don't know, just I feel like that aspect of being neighborly isn't something you see a whole lot of anymore. At least I haven't seen a whole lot of it personally. I'm sure it does still. I'm sure there's still many examples of wonderful neighbors out there, and that sort of just friendly relationship with others. Like, I'm not saying be best friends with your neighbors. If you are, that's awesome, but just the overall, I don't know, neighborly sense of community is something I really got a good appreciation for during that time. Number 2 would be always being prepared. So luckily we did have some supplies on hand, but not as much as we should have had. We were fine, thankfully, but still it was sort of an eye-opener as terms of being better prepared for these sort of things in the future. We didn't have any flashlights at first. We made do with decorative candles, which was interesting. Side note, flickering candle hurts eyes when you're trying to read at night. But yeah, so I sort of learned the importance of preparation. You never know what might come up, so it's always good to be prepared on hand. Another thing is not being overly reliant on technology, because no power, you can't use it. So there's things, so this mainly came in mind because I have a lot of younger siblings, and their main source of entertainment, admittedly, is just watching TV. Suddenly the TV was no longer an option, and they had to, imagine that, use their toys again, their imaginations and such, which I personally think was good for them. I mean, not having power was not good, but like, what I'm saying is it was important, I think, to sort of not become so reliant upon technology. Like, technology is a useful tool, clearly I am using it, but I don't think it's something you should become so reliant upon that when you do lose power and you no longer have that as an option, you're just like, what do I do with my life? So we read a lot of books, which was wonderful. But yeah, it was also just in terms of general, like, being able to prepare food for yourself and staying warm and being able to still live without power. And mind you, it wasn't like, you know, the most sophisticated or the well off, but it worked. And we didn't need it to be during that short period of time. We just needed to be fed, keep enough warmth, like, you know, live. And we were able to, which also brought into mind sort of importance of how it is in order learning to be creative. So like, our house has a well. Without the power, we had no water from the well, so it was like, well, we gotta find a way to get water. Melt snow from outside. We still, like, drinking water, we had reserves, that was our supplies. But for like anything that wasn't drinking water, snow, other, like, sort of just being creative with what food we did have, taking the food out of our fridge and putting it on the back porch in the snow and hoping the animals wouldn't get to it, which they didn't, thankfully. Just the sort of importance of being creative. Like, heck, even the example I had earlier about we didn't have flashlights on hand. We used the decorative Christmas candles that were battery charged, and it worked. So that also brought to mind just humans, we've been able to come so far because of our ability to adapt and be creative in situations. And I've learned from the situation just how important that really can be. So the third point is basically just life is simple. Like I said in the second part, it was mainly just going through and living. And when you were bound by sort of when the sun comes up, when the sun goes down, especially during winter, the days are a lot shorter. You got a limited amount of time in order to do things. And I don't know, it just made me realize how precious every single moment is. Because once the sun came down, you couldn't do a whole lot. I mean, we had our little fire going. And you could use the candles to do a little bit of activity, but there wasn't a whole lot you could do. It's a different feel from, like, you know, you can have the lights on at night and just, like, do all-nighters and that sort of stuff. Here it was, you had a limited amount of time once you had the sunlight in order to do things, and so you took every moment to, I don't know, you just appreciate, I don't know, I personally appreciated every moment. And sometimes that moment was just resting on the couch. That was fine. I'm not saying you had to be doing something every single moment. It was just sort of giving you appreciation for the moments you did have. And also just in general, because we had no power, I was using my phone as little as possible, like mainly just emergency texts or calls. My texts weren't working. So I wasn't on social media. I wasn't, like, watching videos. Reading a book, and I got some writing done, which I did. That was pretty cool, admittedly. A little side note, using candles to write was pretty cool, not gonna lie. I did use a little bit of my phone battery first night to try and get some videos of that. I did learn pretty quickly that it's not as easy to read by candlelight, because it didn't work out the same way. Flashlights with books is definitely the way to go for that. I sort of, life is a lot simpler. It's simpler than you might realize when we have all this distraction around us. I'm not saying that like every single distraction thingy is bad. A lot of things are good, like good videos, talking to friends. Not everything on social media is bad. But taking a break from it, and such a serious break, like cold turkey break, really did bring back to mind the reality of, well, living in reality, in the present moment, in real life. And that was kind of I think the main thing I took away from this, because it kind of tied back to the other stuff too, is because when you're living in the present moment, you're it's easier to see the other people around you, thus forming a better community. It's easier to be more creative because you're really in the moment thinking about well, what do I need for this? What do I need for that? Which can help preparation. So it all kind of correlated to just life. Well, life is unpredictable. The most we can do is make the best out of the time we're given. So why not be more attentive and more compassionate? Why not be more creative and more purposeful with our time, more aware of the people around us, the time we're given, of ourselves too. I had a lot of time to sort of self-reflect on myself as well. And I mean, it's part of the reason why I wanted to make this video, is because I was like, I think it's thoughts I want to talk about. And thus, that's what I'm doing right now, even though it's been a week since then, and I'm back in college now, and I've only been able to do it now, but I'm doing it now, and that's what matters. And so, yeah, I guess it's just inviting y'all to just put yourself in that sort of situation and appreciate the time you've been given. And yeah, I just want to share my thoughts on that mainly. I hope it was enlightening in some way. I don't know, thought-provoking? Yeah, that's the word. Hopefully it was thought-provoking. I found it thought-provoking, but I don't know, share your thoughts if you want to. Especially if you've ever had a situation where you lost power for a while, or I don't know, just something, you were in a situation you didn't plan for that really made you think about the bigger things, I guess, you know? Anywhoosie, I hope you enjoyed that. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I'm gonna go now. God bless. Bye.